on revenue, demand number 33. First question I want to say that this August House had brought a Bhumiputra Adhikarni bill. This was passed by the entire House. There was a lot of opposition to that from the public. And then after that, the government never forwarded this to the governor for his assent or for any decision. If at all there is the government has made a statement that it is under examination of the government of Goa. Last assembly, this was the answer. This assembly, Athaim Parot Sangla, it is under examination. First thing is, if you want to withdraw a bill, the 3 central farm laws were presented back before the parliament and you withdraw kele. If you want to withdraw it, you should place it back before the House. You can't just keep it for so long. If you are taking a decision and you're still thinking on it, why you did not think on this before presenting it in the assembly and getting it passed? You are not going to be thinking of it after you have passed it. It was passed in a big hurry. The second issue which I want to talk is about South Goa Comunidad building. In South Goa Comunidad building, that a request has been made for making repairs. And I've got a reply that an estimate of 2.59 crores is being budgeted for making this expenditure. And the Honorable Chief Minister, I would particularly like to draw your attention to this. The Comunidad building Asati, it's a private building. It does not belong to the government. So that is therefore, and the Comunidades are ready for spending their own money. The Comunidades have budgeted for it. So government funds should not be spent on making these kind of expenditures. You can make that provision for making budget so that it can be utilized by this. Otherwise, what will happen is government will spend the money on a private building. The third aspect is on Derrama. Derrama is under Article 100 of the Code of Comunidades. South Goa Comunidades has got all those employees being paid by the government. While in North Goa, the employees are not paid by the government of Goa. They are paid by the Comunidades. So when preparing the budget estimates in South Goa, the administrator and the government is not taking into consideration the salaries already being budgeted and being paid directly by the government. Second aspect is, whenever there is a Derrama contribution, it is being worked out at the gross. For gross calculation, you have to also look into it that there is a factor that income tax is being deducted. And then income tax, you get a net amount. And if the Comunidades are going to be charged on the net income, on the gross income, it will be very cruel for the Comunidades. The Comunidades were once upon a time getting income from the agriculture. Today they are getting income only from their fixed deposit interest or whatever money has come in from land acquisition. So they really don't have the money to make the payments like this. So I would request that please make sure that there is a proper way of making this Derrama calculation for the budget. Because North Goa, as I mentioned, is different from South Goa. So please make a system by which the Comunidades can be taken into account. As far as demand number 17 is concerned and the police, first, I would raise an issue relating to the PSI recruitment scam. At that time, the government accepted that there were 2 unqualified persons, tenka dogs on a PSI, and by fraud their names had been put in. And then they were removed from the list. But the question is, how did that error creep up in that list? What action was taken? Because at every level, there was a team of officers who was monitoring each stage. So which stage was the name, these 2 names included? Who was responsible? Whether it was at the level of an SP or of a DYSP or a PI, every level there was a committee. So how did it happen? And what action has been taken? Because if this is a rot which has come in from the system, then we have to take action against that. Second is about the increase of drugs, which is a great concern. In the drugs destruction on 18 July 2023, in part of National Drug Destruction event, 25 kgs of narcotics worth 1.1 crore was destroyed. Charas, ganja, LSD and MDMA. But just before that, so April एक आमचे drug disposal committee asa goincho. On that day, they disposed 101.933 kgs of narcotics, which is charas, ganja, LSD, cocaine, ecstasy tablets, MDMA powder, heroin, brown sugar and opium. That is of 4 years. The question and the fear is, in such short time, you have got such a large increase in the number of drugs. This cannot happen, my respectful submission, this cannot happen unless there is an involvement of the police in this. It can be from supply to the collection or commission or even the transportation. If you remember, the Honorable Speaker may remember that there was a ketamine drug haul by DRI in Bisholi in 2018. And whilst the government sought to absolve the owner, the belief of the people was, Zaina, unless you have somebody high. Was there no local intelligence, no local agency raid? It was only required DRI raid. And DRI in Kellotenna, the funny thing was it was called Operation Vitamin Mulole. And that time, Chief Minister, Honorable Sri Manor Parrikar stated that show cause notice was issued on the IDC plot holder, why action should not be taken. I hope that this show cause notice has not got a washing machine spin and got dry cleaned. The government may kindly clarify on this what has happened. The next aspect is my plea to the government. Whenever there are promotions are being made ad hoc. Ad hoc should be avoided. Ad hoc should be as a last resort. Make regular promotions because it gives the kind of satisfaction and certainty. In ad hoc promotion, you are neither here nor there. You can be reverted. And when the real time for promotion comes, somebody else may come and get promoted above you. This, once you give a regular promotion, increases the boost and the morale of the police in doing good work. People, if they don't there are police officers who will be eligible to be inducted in IPS. If you give them regular promotion and regular service,
I
will require at least another 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Now after lunch, otherwise we can continue. After lunch. Yeah, I'll continue. After lunch.
Yes.
Zashna. After lunch.
Okay. सभागृहाचे कामकाज 2:30 पर्यंत स्थगित करता.
Now I'm cutting short, not very long. बिल्डिंगा सरकाराचे पयशे यूज करपाचे न्ही कित्याक कोमनीदाद रेडी आसात तेंचे पयशे मोडपाक सो देर इज अ डिपॉझिटरी development which can be done. So te poishe ditle and PWD will do the work. I am not opposing PWD doing the work, but it should be done under depository scheme. Now the next aspect which I am talking is about in the Home Department, abrupt transfers of police officers. Arbitrary transfers जातात तेन्ना केन्ना 6 म्हयन्यांनी 1 वर्सांनी transfers जातात तेन्ना police get demoralized. And the police are not in a position to work to implement targets. This also lowers the morale. कित्याक तूं काम करता तेन्ना आनी suddenly तुजे transfer जाले, then it becomes a shock for them, and then they are taken to some other place. Somebody else is given. If there is some mistake on their part, if they are being punished, it's a different matter. But if you are not punishing them, but you are just taking them and keeping them in the cold storage, it becomes a problem. There is one issue of law and order prevention. Why is our law and order in cases आमचे इतले conviction rate कित्याक zero down जातात कित्याक उणे जातात? That is because we don't have good investigative officers. The good officers are kept in cold storage while the people who have got certain connections or who have got certain affinity with certain people are being posted in good places. But the result of the policing is going to be zero. And this is why we are having poor rate of conviction. If you feel there is a case, you are registering it, and then you can't prosecute it, you can't get a conviction. It's either you want to tell us that you are prosecuting or arresting someone wrongfully, which is completely wrong, or you are doing something which is completely wrong by transferring them midway and then having these kind of things where the investigation is not done properly. There's one more aspect, that there is no budgetary provision which I see for CCTV cameras. The CCTV cameras must be put up at police station and outposts. The Supreme Court on judgment dila. Any direction dila amchi goinchi sarkar pasun asa tinga where they have to put it. If we have this CCTVs, cameras at police stations and outposts, then it will be a good policing which will be there, nothing for them to hide. One aspect which I want to raise is about 3 migrants at the Verna police station. When the husband was arrested, then afterwards they committed suicide. All 3 migrant people committed suicide. There was an inquiry being conducted against the in charge of the Verna police station. I require the government to make a statement on what is the status of this investigation which was being carried out. Next, I want to speak on fire. Demand number 26, fire and emergency services. Under leadership of Nitin Raikar and the Goa Emergency Services, Fire and Emergencies, they have done commendable work. Am khabar asate amche assembly ahlo tanna last time Berger paint tinga uzu petlo tanna that there was a big fire for 3 days. And even going in that, the fumes and all was very dangerous. They did a very remarkable job. But what is happening is, Ami atam permission ditat high-rise building galpak. But we don't have the fire brigades which can cater to these high-rise building. If there is a fire in tall high-rise buildings that we are seeing across the world, we will not even be able to reach to save those people. So I think the provision has to be made to give them these high-rise fire brigades. The hydraulic tools are required. We are using drones for purpose of agriculture. But what about drones being given to the fire brigade when you require them when people are drowning? Location Gorpal, you can identify who is where. And I believe that the fire brigade department people must be given special incentive because they are high risk job and with low payment of salary. As far as home guards and demand number 25, these people provide voluntary service. Kita home guard is only a voluntary service and generally for 3 years. But we are keeping them for longer time and there is no security of tenure for the home guards. I also request that they should be accommodated so that this provision can be made in the budget. In vigilance, demand number 22, there are many cases with the vigilance department against elected representatives, now maybe former representatives, and also government officials. Why are they not getting a closure? They should be fast-tracked so that they can either be free or they should be hanged if they are guilty. In skill development, there was an assurance given by the Honorable Chief Minister last time regarding the पर्पज हेल्थ वर्कर्स मेल ते एक सर्टिफिकेट दिल्ले लोकांक सांगपाक फकत स्कील म्हूण आनी नर्सस ते मल्टीपर्पज हेल्थ वर्कर्स कसले सब्जेक्ट शिकले आनी कितले मार्क्स पडले कांय दाखयलें ना आतां खंय जॉबार गेल्यार तांकां मेळनात लोक कितें म्हणटात तूं कार्पेंटर तूं प्लंबर आमकां कांय खबर ना म्हूण they had given an assurance and nothing has been done. My request to the Chief Minister, kindly look into this. I'm obliged.